The storm arrived without warning, sweeping across the city with sheets of heavy rain that blurred the world into a watery haze, and Ethan Hale found himself running through it as though time itself were chasing him. His shoes splashed through growing puddles, and his clothes were soaked through in minutes, but none of it mattered, not compared to the interview he was desperate to make on time. Today was supposed to be the turning point of his life. A position at Harrington Industries, a company so prestigious that being considered for an entry-level role already felt like a miracle. Ethan had studied every sleepless night, refining his portfolio, memorizing technical concepts, researching the company's history, even practicing his introduction until he could say it half asleep. He had rehearsed kindness, confidence, and competence into every atom of himself because this wasn't just an interview, it was hope, a lifeline after years of scraping by. The towering corporate building finally came into view through the rain, a monolithic structure of steel and ambition. Ethan quickened his pace. His watch showed he had 8 minutes left. He could make it. He pushed harder, lungs burning, mind racing, when suddenly he heard a sharp cry. It was small, frightened, almost lost beneath the downpour, but to Ethan it cut through everything. He skidded to a stop. There on the slick pavement was a young woman sprawled on the ground, her ankle twisted awkwardly, her books floating in a growing puddle beside her. Her umbrella lay flipped inside out several feet away, and her tablet had skidded dangerously close to the street. She winced, trying to sit up but failing, the pain clearly radiating up her leg. Ethan's eyes flicked back to the corporate entrance. 7 minutes. If he left now, he could still make it. She wasn't bleeding. Someone else would help her. He could keep running. He took one step toward the building, and stopped cold when he heard her soft, panicked whisper. "Please. Someone, please." Her voice trembled with more than pain. It held fear, vulnerability, and the silent plea of someone used to being ignored. Ethan cursed under his breath, knowing exactly what helping her would cost him. But his heart had already moved faster than his ambition. He sprinted back toward her, kneeling down as she lifted her head with startled, watery eyes. "Hey, don't move," he said gently. "You're gonna be all right. I've got you." She swallowed hard, shivering from the cold rain. I slipped. My ankle. It hurts so much. "Let me help," he said as he gathered her scattered belongings, tucking her soaked books against his chest and picking up her tablet with great care. He then offered her his hand. "I'm Ethan." She hesitated only a moment before placing her trembling hand in his. "Ava." Her fingers were cold and delicate, and as he helped her up, she nearly collapsed again from the pain. Without thinking, Ethan wrapped his arm firmly around her waist, bracing her weight on him. She leaned heavily against him, her breath shaky, her locks of rain-wet hair clinging to her face. "There's a cafe right there," he said. "Come on. I'll get you out of this rain." Ava nodded wordlessly, her face tightening each time her injured foot touched the ground. Ethan half carried her through the storm, shielding her with his body as they crossed the street and stepped into the warm glow of the cafe. The barista gasped when she saw Ava limping in, immediately rushing over with towels. Ethan helped Ava into a booth, kneeling to gently lift her ankle onto the seat. "Do you think it's broken?" he asked softly. Ava shook her head. "Sprained maybe. It just hurts a lot. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bother you." "You're not bothering me," Ethan said instantly. "You needed help. That's what matters." But when he stood up, he made the mistake of checking his watch. His heart plummeted. He was already 12 minutes past his interview time. He inhaled sharply, the disappointment almost physically painful. Ava noticed his expression, her eyes dimming with guilt. "You were in a hurry," she whispered. "I ruined something important for you, didn't I?" "No," he lied softly. "I mean, yes, I had somewhere to be, but it's nothing compared to making sure you were safe." Her lips trembled with a strained smile, as though touched by his kindness yet burdened by what it cost him. "I wish I could make it up to you," she murmured. Ethan fetched her ice, water, and napkins, making sure she could wiggle her toes and that the swelling wasn't worsening. Even through her pain, Ava kept studying him with a strange mixture of gratitude and curiosity. He tried to pull back his sleeve discreetly to read the time again, 22 minutes late now. It was over. The interview was gone. But even then, he couldn't bring himself to leave her until her breathing steadied, until her trembling eased, until she could stand on her own. When she finally could, she touched his hand lightly. "Thank you, Ethan," she whispered. "Really, I don't know how to repay you. Just take care of your ankle," he said with a smile that he tried desperately to keep bright. "That's more than enough." He walked out of the cafe into the rain, more slowly now, the weight of reality sinking in. Minutes later his phone buzzed with an email. "We have proceeded with other candidates. Best of luck in your future endeavors." Ethan stood there in the rain, numb. Everything he had worked for, gone. But even then, a strange sense of peace held him. He had done the right thing. Ava had needed help. He would never regret choosing humanity over ambition. He didn't know that Ava sat in the cafe long after he left, staring at the door with guilt and determination growing inside her. Nor did he know that she wasn't just any girl. She was Ava Harrington, daughter of the very CEO whose company had just rejected him, and she wasn't going to let this be the end of his story. Part 2. 3 days passed with the heavy stillness of disappointment settling deeply into Ethan's life. He tried to stay busy, applied for smaller jobs, took online work where he could, but the sting of losing his chance at Harrington Industries clung to him like a shadow. On the morning of the third day, he sat in a cramped lobby waiting for an interview at a hardware store far below his qualifications. He kept reminding himself that work was work, but his chest tightened with every passing moment. When his phone buzzed with an unknown number, he almost didn't answer. But something told him to pick up. "Hello?" he asked cautiously. "Is this Ethan Hale?" A crisp female voice replied. "Yes, this is Mary Ann, executive assistant to the CEO of Harrington Industries. Ms. Harrington would like to meet with you immediately." Ethan blinked, stunned into silence. I think there's been a mistake," he managed. "I missed my interview. I already received a rejection." "She is aware of that. Please report to the headquarters as soon as possible." And just like that, the call ended. Ethan stared at his phone in disbelief. Why would the CEO of a major corporation want to see him personally? As confusion and hope battled inside him, he excused himself from the hardware store and raced across the city. When he arrived, the same glass building towered above him, intimidating, powerful, but this time the receptionist greeted him by name. "Right this way, Mr. Hale." He followed her into the executive elevator, his heart thundering as it climbed floor after floor. The doors opened to a luxurious hallway filled with artwork, and polished floors that reflected his trembling steps. The assistant gestured toward a set of enormous double doors. "Ms. Harrington is expecting you." Ethan entered, and stopped breathing. There, behind a sleek desk, wasn't some stern, unfamiliar CEO. It was Ava, but not the rain-soaked, vulnerable girl he had helped days earlier. This Ava was poised, elegant, dressed in a tailored suit, her hair perfectly styled, her expression confident yet softening the moment she saw him. She stood to greet him, a slight limp still visible. "Ethan," she said, her voice warm. "I'm so glad you came." Ethan stared, utterly stunned. "Ava, you're the CEO." Her lips curved into a gentle smile. "County CEO. My father stepped back last year. I should have told you who I was, but honestly, that day I wasn't thinking about business. I was thinking about how badly my ankle hurt." Ethan swallowed hard, still reeling. "But why did you call me here?" "I mean, I missed the interview, because you missed it for me," she said softly, stepping toward him. "Because the reason you lost your opportunity was that you chose compassion over ambition. And in this company, that matters." She walked to her desk, picking up a folder, his folder. "I reviewed everything you submitted. Your qualifications are excellent, but your character is what impressed me most." Ethan shook his head. "I didn't do anything special. Anyone would have helped you." "No," Ava corrected gently. "Most people wouldn't have. I've seen the way people act around here. Busy, rushed, self-serving. But you weren't like that. You didn't know who I was, yet you treated me with kindness. She opened the folder and slid a document toward him. This is a revised contract. A position on my personal team. Ethan looked at the papers, the words blurring from the overwhelming rush of hope, disbelief, and gratitude. Ava. I can't accept something just because you feel sorry. This isn't pity, she said firmly. It's recognition. You are exactly the kind of person I want shaping this company. Loyal, selfless, good. She hesitated, emotion flickering in her eyes. And I need good people around me. Ethan's breath shook. I don't know what to say. Say yes, she whispered. Before I hire you somewhere higher up. The attempt at humor, the warmth in her voice, it broke the tension instantly, pulling a disbelieving laugh from him. He reached for the contract with hands that shook slightly. Yes, he said. Yes, of course. Ava's smile lit up her entire face. She extended her hand, but instead of a formal business handshake, her fingers lingered around his, warm and gentle, as though she were thanking him not just for helping her, but for something deeper. Something she couldn't quite name yet. Good, she murmured, because something tells me your story with this company, and maybe with me, is just beginning. Ethan left the office moments later holding the contract that would change his life forever, but more than that, holding a strange, growing possibility he hadn't expected. The sense that helping a stranger hadn't cost him an opportunity, it had led him directly to the one he was always meant to find.